All right, welcome back, guys. Took a quick breather. We're here to talk about the Western Conference. Two somewhat shocking teams sitting at the top of the standings there. Minnesota at 15-4, and then OKC at 13-6. I'll go through the top six quickly. Denver at 14-7, not really a shocker. They'll breeze, probably get a top three pick. Sacramento 11-7. Phoenix 12-8, not a great record, but in fifth. And then Dallas at 11-8. In the play, we've got Lakers, New Orleans, Clippers, Houston Rockets. And Golden State on the outside looking in at 9-11. Where do you want to start first?
Let's start from the top.
Minnesota. The two bigs seem to be working out for the time being. I mean, obviously it's not playoffs, but Ant-Man is obviously doing incredible. The whole team looks like they're in sync. Naj Reid's a guy that I like a lot. They have a lot of depth, seem to be coached well. What's their ceiling?
I think their ceiling is as far as Anthony Edwards wants to take them. The respect that I give to Minnesota to finally give Anthony Edwards the keys to this franchise. At the longest time, it was Cat. We all see where that went, a la Jimmy Butler, you know. And now you see Anthony Edwards has the key, highest usage, and he's running with it, looking like, an all-star already, averaging 26, 5 and 5. You can't ask for much more. The guy's a defensive guy, offensive, he guards the best player on the other team. If need be, you got Jaden McDaniels to do that, so it takes the pressure off him as long as he stays healthy. I like Minnesota. I like the direction they're going. I like the pieces that they have. I love the addition of Kyle Anderson on that team. Mike Conley, a vet.
Nikhil Alexander-Walker's been pretty good for them.
I mean, he's come off the bench. Yeah, he needed it. Exactly. So, like I said, you got Naz Reid to come off the bench too. A lot of teams don't, they stack up their front, in terms of the starting, and the bench is not good. Whereas now you can see that Minnesota has a team. They're playing as it. They're cohesive too. Gobert, everybody said what a big,
And they did give up too much. It wasn't that
did.
trade.
It was.
At least last year was bad. At least this year. Last year I feel like they were 8th or something. At least
but
now
I feel like last year was the first adjustment period. Now you got the guys. You're building around the right players, right system. I think last year they tried to build around Cat. Now they're saying that it's time to build around Anthony Edwards, and he's the one that's actually with the higher usage. And I think that right there was the best move for them.
Yeah.
Moving on, let's go to OKC. Shea Gilgeous, always been that guy. I think he's a top 5 player in the NBA.
Yeah.
Right now, you can argue it. Usage is at an all-time high. Last year, averaged 30-something points.
First team All NBA.
He was
incredible.
He was incredible.
Yeah.
And you can see right now, having Chet Holmgren back, how big of a spacing it is. And not many people know it, but he's actually going on for Rookie of the Year this year, right?
He's at like a 50-40-90 right now.
Yeah, man. And, I was watching that game where he hit the game-tying shot, and, a guy like
Golden State, that
it was
against
that
game,
yeah.
And they won in overtime.
And they won in overtime. Guys are stepping up to the plate, and that's what you want to see in the NBA as progressing. OKC was a bottom team. They built through the draft.
We talked about that.
And
they did not miss a draft pick. When you look at everybody they have, like Josh Giddey, we won't get into whatever, but like Josh Giddey's a guy that when they drafted him, I was like, he's like a white, slow point guard, whatever. I was like, what's this guy's? He's been good. He's been better than I thought. His usage has gone down a little bit. I saw he only played maybe like 15 or 16 minutes, getting like 9 points, but he's been solid. Lou Dort picked him up off the street, been killing it. Shea getting him in a trade along with 7 first-round draft picks. That trade's a lot.
Williams, now you got Duke Dort.
Both Jaden Williams.
They got that point guard, Wallace.
Casey Wallace has been really good.
Yeah, man. Great three-point shooter.
Trey Mann.
Isaiah Joe.
Like this is what I'm saying. We were going off on their bench. Any of those guys, like that game against Golden State, I think Isaiah Joe went like 6 for 6 from 3, didn't miss a shot.
Yeah.
Like OKC, I want to put some money down to win the title. Like earlier, and their odds are still stupid. Like honestly, would you be shocked if they won the title this year?
I would be shocked if they won the title because they're so young. Yes, they've taken the step forward. Yes, they've progressed to a higher clip that we are expecting. They still haven't put their work in. I don't think they've done the legwork yet.
Look at Minnesota. Minnesota hasn't done it. They're sitting in first.
Like I said, I wouldn't put my money on those two teams too. I just want to see more than the regular season from them. This is the first time OKC has been relevant to this point. That's the first time you're seeing such a big progression. Last year they were in the play-in. They did really well. I'm not saying
Yeah,
I'm not a knock
And now
on
they
that.
get Chet there, and it's like,
And now we're gonna see where they go from there. Everybody's got to step up in OKC. You can tell that they're a cohesive unit. Chet Holmgren coming back shows you that hey, he's been awesome. He's put in that work in the offseason within the injury. He stepped up, and it's fun to see these guys grow and fun to see these guys progress. Where they are, where they will be, it's hard to put money against.
that's what I was gonna say. Like, who? So looking at the rest of it, what teams would you say are like favorites in the West? Nobody's looked great. I know Phoenix hasn't had their guys yet, but
I mean, it's hard to bet against Denver, man.
true. Denver's the only team that I would look at and say it's going through Denver. After Denver, anybody can go for number 2.
I think so. I think as well. However, you got guys that, I'd rather have the ball over anybody else in the league. You got Kevin Durant in Phoenix, which has, Devin Booker. Devin Booker stepped up in the playoffs last year. He was consistent. Are you expecting Kevin Durant to have another bad playoff performance? Not really.
No. My question for you would be, because last year, remember, he rolled his ankle as soon as he got to Cleveland. He missed like a month or whatever. My question to anybody betting on Phoenix is, can you guarantee me that all 3 guys are going to be healthy?
No,
the answer is no.
The
answer is no, right? Beal hasn't played a game. Nobody knew that he was hurt. He hasn't played a game yet.
No, he has played a game. He's played a couple of games. If we're going to look at it, player stats, let's go. Bradley Beal has played 3 games.
He's played 3 games out of what, 21 or 22, right?
Yes.
So he's been hurt for a quarter. Even if he plays every game, he's missed a quarter of the season.
Yes.
They don't have really a bench. We know that Nurkic is going to get hurt. So I guess back to the question then, like there's a lot of teams here. The Lakers have not looked good. They're going to make a trade, but with LeBron at 30.
But I feel like they're better than last year. They're finally getting Vanderbilt. They haven't had Vanderbilt on their roster. They've had guys step up for them. Gabe Vincent's been out for the longest time, only played 4 games. I think the Lakers are actually a better team than projected right now. And the way they're looking, because they're still missing guys that are really good, that have played very good. You had Gabe Vincent play incredible for Miami last year.
He's a backup point guard for them. Vanderbilt didn't play in the playoffs really last year. They had to get him off the floor.
But
Rui hasn't been good.
He's been
Austin
like
Reeves
I said, these are guys that that come playoff time will produce, will be playing better than expected. I would say with LeBron and Anthony Davis. I think the Lakers, for them, the most important piece is health. Make with the top 2 guys with LeBron and Anthony Davis, and I think they're gonna go as far as Anthony Davis wants them to.
Which is not very far.
It's like I said, we don't know. We've seen that if those 2 guys together are playing and they want to play and they have the right pieces around them.
They got swept last year, right?
Yeah. Well,
was it Denver or was it Memphis? I'm drawing a blank. They beat Memphis?
No.
So they
beat Memphis.
They beat Memphis and they got swept by Denver in 4 games.
Yes. So it happened.
They didn't win a game. I understand they won the title, but like they did not win a game.
Denver, man. Denver was on point last
year. Nobody gets swept in like maybe the first round. Nobody gets swept in like
Dallas is looking really good.
I was gonna say Dallas, right? So like they picked up Lively in the draft, who I like. They have a center now.
Yes.
Looks like Kyrie's kind of clicking. They look like a good team, but to me they're not a title contender.
No, you got Tim Hardaway shooting lights out right now. You got Derek Jones. He's playing very well. I want to see kind of Josh Green step up. I want to see Hardy step up. I want to see more Seth Curry. Those guys are not playing to the level that you're expecting. But I mean, you just ride the hot hand, I guess. They got Grant Williams. He's been a great addition. He's been a great addition with that whole dog attitude and everything like that. They needed a guy like that, right? Losing Finney Smith was huge for them. Yeah. But I feel like they got a good replacement with Grant Williams. Now, you look at Houston. Houston's, man, they've been surprising.
Yeah, they didn't surprise me. At the same time, I think they're in, where are they in? They're in like 10th place, right?
Yes.
But still, like Golden State's behind them, Utah, Portland, Memphis, and San Antonio.
And you're not expecting that. I think you're expecting Golden State. Obviously, Draymond was out for 5 games because of that suspension. You're not.
So I guess the theme in the West is there's been a lot of injuries, whether it be suspensions like Draymond, Ja. Like there's been a lot of and not everybody's at full strength.
Yes.
My question is, so Golden State's not going to miss the play-in or the playoffs. They're going to make it. But with Clay really deteriorating, Chris Paul's hurt. He's been okay. Wiggins taking a step back. Moses and Kuminga being nothing. They haven't taken that lead.
Yeah.
Is Golden State's time done as a title contender?
I mean, not really, because Seth Curry. Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Are you really gonna bet against them? I mean, it's hard, and I get it, but I mean, them just having
They've regressed,
Steph Curry. Yeah, they've regressed a lot, but I mean, you're expecting that, and we all expected that,
They should have
right?
lost to Sacramento last year, I thought, in Game 7.
Yeah, I
They ended
did
up
too. I thought
escaping.
Sacramento was a better team, but you know what? That's why you can't bet against Steph Curry, because
So if
it's a
Sacramento
big-
plays Golden State this year in the playoffs, you're probably going to take Sacramento, right?
100% I would. I took them last year to win as well. If we roll back the tape, even though I thought
Sacramento?
yeah.
Because I remember it was me, you, and I'm trying to remember if it was your brother, whoever else, Mike. I think it was Mike that
Mike,
took
yes.
Golden State then.
Yes.
But okay, so let's go to the Clippers. I want to talk about them. The Clippers looked great until they made the Harden trade. I thought they looked really good.
I think the Clippers are gonna go as far as their health will take them.
No, man, they can be as healthy as they want. They're still not a good team.
I don't know. I think they are a good team. I know everybody wants to think otherwise, but I like the Clippers.
You like them with Harden?
I like them with Harden.
Oh, okay. I think you're by yourself there. I don't think anybody else shares that.
I think that they'll figure it out. I think because you have Kawhi Leonard as your leader, he's just gonna make sure that it gets figured out. They got a lot of pieces, man. Who in the NBA matchup to matchup can you tell me can actually go and have a guy for every single position that can meet up with
That
the
can guard
Harden,
them?
that can guard them, that a Kawhi and a Paul George.
Maybe just like a Minnesota, now that I think about it, right?
Maybe in Minnesota, even that is hard to say, man.
Or
Because
like Denver. Denver,
Denver,
has
I don't
enough
think
guys.
they have enough guys
No?
that can Harden. But
Denver
I
will
said,
beat them anyway.
I said, right now you got Michael Porter that's got to play defense on one of these guys, and who's he really going to play
Yeah,
defense
but even
on?
if one guy kind of goes off on him, like
And like I said, it's going to be a battle of matchups, and it's going to be you got to switch on every matchup, and that's going to be a hard thing because now you add Russell Westbrook into that lineup, and who can really stop Russell Westbrook when he's always downhill?
they'll just force him to take jump shots. Like I love Russ, but Russ was playing really well until they got Harden. And he comes off the bench, he's not doing too good. I think they kind of messed up the chemistry. I think that the owner kind of panicked and just said, because apparently they're going to a new stadium next year, that we need to get like 4 Hall of Famers on a team, which, man, like how often does that work? Whether
I
it's
mean,
Brooklyn
we
or
don't
like-
know exactly. Like I said, I think it's a small sample, but I think they're the biggest question mark in the NBA as far as matchups go, as far as how far they will go. It depends on their health. But I mean, I will not bet against Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and James Harden if all 3 of them are healthy.
Against anybody?
Against anybody, man. You got 3 of the best players. You got one of the best offensive players of all time, with
Not
the
the same
2. But like I said,
Well, and
last
a guy
year
that's never been good in the playoffs.
with who?
Harden.
No, of course, but you don't need him to be good now. You got Kawhi Leonard and Paul George if they're healthy, right? You got 2 of the best two-way players in the NBA with the best offensive player in the NBA when he actually wants to play. Last year, playing with Joel Embiid, James Harden made Joel Embiid MVP of the league.
Mhm.
You can't knock James Harden. I get it. He has his attitude problems. He has all of that. But everywhere he's played, he's made the teams better.
Harden?
Harden.
Except the playoffs.
Well, I mean,
That's
except
what
for
I'm
the
saying,
playoff.
right? That's the
But
biggest
I
thing.
mean, if it wasn't for those injuries, they would have beat Golden State too that year. No one was really stopping.
Yeah,
I mean,
but they didn't.
like I said, there was only one team that was actually competing with Golden State, which was Cleveland and Houston. Everybody else took the seat back because they didn't compete with these guys. Whereas James Harden and the Houston Rockets came up. But that's the past. I'm talking now with the sample size we saw even last year. James Harden and the Philadelphia Sixers, Joel Embiid took a step up in this game. He became a better player. He progressed. And as I said, Philly, yes, they are a better team without Harden. But if Harden was still there right now, I think they would excel, not go back. just like other teams were as well, just because of his offense and just because of the way he opens up the floor and how everything pans out.
I mean, it's going to be like they have the star power, and we see this a lot with pretty much every team we've mentioned, either injuries or guys that know the lineup. It's going to take half a season for everybody to kind of click.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a big group of these teams where they're all going to kind of switch places because I would say, well, look at it here. From Sacramento's 11-7, so let's go from Phoenix. Phoenix to Utah. Utah's 5 games below 500. Phoenix is 4 games above. So really a 2-game winning streak and a losing streak on the other side, they switch spots. I know Utah's not going anywhere, but Golden State's at 9-11, the same record as the Raptors.
Yeah.
Right? And there's going to be some switching. It's just, so let's say I give you 3 bets for the season. You have to pick who you think is going to win the championship. Who are you taking those 3 bets with?
Denver, Milwaukee, and Boston.
So nobody else in the West really have any faith. Not even like Phoenix.
No, if I go with the 4th pick, I would go with the Clippers. 5th pick would be Phoenix.
Really? So you have the Clippers over Phoenix too.
I would, just because Kawhi Leonard's healthy.
For now, like everybody else.
For now, we all had that discussion. When was it before that? Kawhi Leonard healthy is better than Kevin Durant as an all-around player.
I just think now the thing with Durant is like, and I love Kawhi. I just feel like now, I feel like he's lasting more because they have 4 guys. He's not having to take the ball and just kind of go off. He's all those guys. Like I'll pull up the stats, but they're probably all getting between like 17 and 22.
Yeah.
If that, and then probably the bench nobody's scoring. But like if I had to look, I guess Norm Powell's probably not playing much. Terrence Mann, like all these guys that they had before, kind of doing stuff. It's less of a burden.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But that's how
Which is
they
good.
can actually go and actually be for the longevity of them, right? So I mean, I it's hard to bet against Clippers because it's hard to bet with the Clippers because they've never been healthy. But with the players, if they are healthy, they've shown you that they can actually produce something. So let's see. If it's health, then why not? I mean, Phoenix, like I said, if they're healthy and guys are producing, they're going to be a matchup nightmare. Yeah, Phoenix. If Bradley Beal is healthy, if Devin Booker's healthy, Kevin Durant.
That's like what the Nets had a few years ago, right? Like
Yes.
it's pretty much on that same level, you would say.
I would say so, yes. But like I said, it's health. It comes down to the health, right?
Yeah, and they have no bench really, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, with Phoenix, I think they got a okay
Eric
bench.
Gordon. They have Gordon, and that's it.
Eric Gordon, they got Grayson Allen, who's been stepping up. They got Josh Okogie. They got Drew Eubanks, who's off the bench. They got Diop. I like Diop. I think he's always been a solid guy, two-way player on the Spurs. He's come up, and like I said, there's guys that they can have that can step up. Like I don't necessarily think they'll need all those guys to step up. I think they'll need their star players to be healthy for them to even be a contender. Because if you're, resorting to a Drew Eubanks or a Grayson Allen, you're in trouble, right? So there's a reason why you got the stars. There's a reason why you got those players to be your best players. You need them to be the guys that take you over the edge.
Any last thoughts on the West? Any teams really you want to touch on? You think Memphis, when they get job back, you think they can sneak into a play-in, or is it too late?
No, I think it's. I mean, if it all depends on health, right? New Orleans, another team that I think is actually
They're good.
They're a pretty good team, right? But now Larry Nance got an injury. CJ McCollum was out for 2 weeks with the lung issue. Now, how healthy are they going to be? Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, these are guys.
They played a game.
Yeah, like these guys are not a healthy team. Throughout history.
Jordan Hawkins, another good draft pick. Like, there's a lot of you look at this lineup here. There's a lot of guys that are just solid.
Solid
and
guys.
Again, we go through. Hate to keep coming back, but like the Raptors, and we name all these teams that teams like New Orleans, even not really Dallas, but like Sacramento, OKC, Minnesota. There's guys coming up, right? Like real players.
Yes, and
there's a mixture of stars or like just below stars, and then there's like really good role players that are young that have a chance to go up.
And that's where you want to see them for the opportunities to come for them to step up and take the reins and make a name for themselves. We thought that we had that with a few of our guys. Gary Trent didn't work out. We need you to step up, Gary. That's what it's coming down to, guys. Precious didn't step up, but So far it's looking like an awesome, exciting season. I'm glad that there's a mixture of these teams that are stepping
lot of
up.
good
Your
teams.
Minnesotas, your Orlando's that are becoming up there and getting
Sacramento's
become
come
some
up,
Sacramento,
OKC, yeah, a lot of
OKC.
these good young
Good
teams.
to see these guys stepping up and showing the progress that hey, it takes some time, but the progress
And
is
Houston's
real.
probably next too, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean
like
they got a
Jalen
really
Green,
good player.
Şengün.
Yes, that guy's an amazing
Yeah.
player. Şengün is looking like a baby Jokic at this point right
Yeah.
now, man.
The
He's
thing
gonna
with
be
him, that the
stepping up.
reason he wasn't playing before is because he was really, really bad on defense. But now they're just throwing him there because they have other guys that, like Dylan Brooks or whatever. They have
Yes.
other guys that can kind of
Yes,
step up there.
yes. Team defense always is better than one-on-one defense, you know?
Yeah, and even Jabari Smith. I was trying to see how he's doing there. Jabari
He's a
Smith,
consistent
13-7, right? Like they took him third overall, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. But he's been okay. Lastly, let's wrap it up. East final, West final. Who do you see in it?
Milwaukee against Denver.
In the finals?
In the
Milwaukee,
finals.
Denver? I was gonna say, so right now I penciled in Boston to get to the Eastern final, Denver to get to the West. So that's probably gonna be my finals. I'm trying to think who they play against in the East final, who they gets there. To be honest, I'm leaning towards Philly. I have more faith in Philly than I do in Milwaukee at this point.
You do,
But I think
right?
Maxey and if Embiid can get there, I'll go Boston, Philly.
You like Maxey and Embiid over Damian Lillard?
Which is the thing, the bench guys that they got. Lillard's been okay. You know what I mean? Like he hasn't. Obviously, he's alive. Losing Drew Holiday, man, just hurts.
Yeah, but you're
Right.
talking about Damian Lillard, man. The guy was averaging 30 points.
You can
last year,
average
then they
30,
got-
give up like another
something.
30 on the other way, right?
Yeah, but it comes down to team defense, right?
And they haven't been good defensively.
You're right.
And then in the West, I'm trying to see who Denver can go against. Like I'm leaning towards Minnesota. I think OKC can sneak in. Like as long as Jokic is going to be playing, they'll get to the West final for sure.
I think it'll be a Denver and Phoenix / Clippers.
Right.
I like I said, I just don't. I just it's hard to bet against Denver. They're hard to bet against your stars and
You have
Phoenix
Denver
and
winning it all?
Clippers. I have Denver winning it all.
Crazy.
Crazy.
I know. Who would have thought? I remember 5 years ago, I said like when Jokic was first coming up, I would always pick them. I think one year, because remember Utah was getting like 60 wins a game when they had Mitchell and Gobert. And then remember Denver was creeping up. I like Denver a lot too. Now teams like that are on their way up, or teams like Minnesota and OKC, I feel like, right?
No, like I said,
Maybe even Orlando.
You just need the health, and the point like that we've always made with a lot of these teams that we've picked to be there. Someone gets injured and they just regress, right? The good thing with Denver is that their biggest problem has been Jamal Murray with his health, but they've had guys to step in, and they're kind of almost used to it at this point with Jamal
Well,
Murray.
remember there was the one year where Jokic was playing with like G Leaguers. They talked about it, right? Then you get the
Yes.
playoffs and kind of got whacked. It was 2 or 3 years ago.
Yes.
But him alone, it's easy playoffs. It's whatever it is.
And
that
it's
was-
funny because I was talking to my uncle and my brother about Jokic with regards to this guy is the most office hours NBA player that there is. The guy
Ever,
comes
ever.
in, shows up to work, kills it,
puts on his
and
shit, takes it
then
off, and
takes
goes
on
home.
just it,
He's like-
and he's all
and he
done.
like punches out and he goes home and he's a
And
different guy.
it's magnificent to see.
Yeah.
Because dude, you need guys like that show you, listen, when it comes to doing your work, do your work. Don't worry about the rest of the
Yeah,
things.
yeah. No, I know.
The Raptors
I
should
know.
learn a thing or two about that. Eh?
There's no, you know what about that team in Denver too? There's no drama players because
No.
they wouldn't last anyways, right? Like
No.
even I was thinking about Bones Highland, maybe he was, I'm guessing, because they got rid of him really quick when he looked good, and now
Yeah.
he's banished from the Clippers too. So maybe that's a guy like that. But look at Denver, I just feel like a guy like that is fun to play with. Even when we play like in a men's league, or whatever, it's like you, me, like when we're passing, guys are involved, backdoor cut, layup. It makes it fun when it's not playing
Yeah.
like the Clippers. Imagine if you're not Kawhi or Paul George, and even if you are, like it's not fun playing if you're Norm Powell or Marcus or any of those guys where it's like I'm not going to
you
get the
don't
ball
know if
today.
they're going to get the ball. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And Jokic is like every game it's 25, 10, and 10, easy,
Easy.
and a finals berth.
And a finals for it.
So I'll go Denver. I really, really want to say OKC, man. OKC or Minnesota is what I'm leaning towards. I don't know, like Phoenix, the West playoffs are going to be so much fun because every matchup, like you look at it, Minnesota, OKC, Denver, Sacramento, Phoenix, Dallas, Lakers, New Orleans, Clippers.
I can see why you're leaning towards that, but they haven't shown anything yet.
OKC.
Man. This is OKC
But-
and Minnesota.
But every year there's a team that doesn't show anything that just they show it that year.
It's been arguable, yes, but I mean, until they have like Utah, every year you knew they were going to be in the playoffs, and then you came to they were going to be in the playoffs, then it came to the first rounds.
But that's because
Vanished,
Gobert,
right?
he was like the team MVP and he couldn't even play in the playoffs. Like if SGA's in the playoffs, he's gonna give you. I always said him and Luka are like neck and neck. Luka's a level above, but like they're right there where it's like you're gonna get 25, 10, and 5 every game.
And I agree with you, but you just haven't seen it yet, right?
I guess so. I'm gonna stick with it just because you're doubting. I'm gonna go Denver OKC in the West Final, and then Denver
Let's have it here, guys.
Denver over Boston in the finals. Even though I kind of want to lead towards Philly, this is the best chance Philly's had since they had Jimmy Butler. I think.
Yep. So you made my picks. I got your picks. You made mine. So mine's is Denver.
And I mean, we still got 4 months, but I'm gonna go
Clips.
Denver.
Yeah, we'll bring it back.
Over
We're
Boston.
gonna see you changing your picks. That's okay.
Denver's not going to change. Everybody's coming after Jokic. But that's going to wrap it up for the show today. We will touch back at some point during the holiday season, maybe talk about the Christmas games and what's happening with it. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys later.